Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now a brief intro before we hop into today's video. Today we're going to be talking about something that is a little bit off topic from my typical content that I'll produce for y'all. Now the reason being is that what I'm going to talk about is something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I can relate to with myself being a Latino male living here in America. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking you guys back to 1943, right down the street here in Los Angeles, when something occurred that was called the Zoot Suit Riots. I hope y'all enjoy. Now, of course, for those of y'all who are not too familiar with what a zoot suit exactly is, let me paint the picture for you. So a zoot suit is an extremely baggy suit, tons of fabric. It does not fit the figure of the gentleman who is wearing it. Now, this was the current style of young Chicano, Mexican-American men who were in the midst of revolting racial inequality and racial prejudice right down the street in Los Angeles. I'll make sure to include a picture here. Now, with that being said, these young Mexican-American men, as well as middle-aged, were at the time experiencing extreme racial inequality and just a prejudice, and people placed a stereotype on them. They were seen as gang members, outcasts, and just delinquents, if you will. Now, to add to that, something that caused even a little bit more tension there was the fact that these zoot suits were using excessive amounts of fabric, as you can imagine. They don't fit, they're oversized and baggy on purpose. Now, the reason that was a problem was because we were in a state of war at that time in our nation. Now, we were placed under effect something called fabric rationing. Now, with that being said, you can see why there's a problem. Many U.S. white servicemen saw that these Mexican-American men did not care. They didn't give a damn, essentially. Still used excessive amounts of fabric, and it just caused even more friction at the time. Now, I'd like to address one of the main points where this sort of timeline took a turning point and caused even more friction between Mexican-Americans and white civilians. There was a murder case going on called the Sleepy Lagoon murder, where Mexican-American men were being falsely accused of committing the murder, as you can imagine, and obviously placing a horrible-looking publicity amongst the Mexican-Americans who were wearing the zoot suits, and that just caused, constant and just awful friction between the two. Now, when the violence and the riots started to occur was on June 3rd, 1943, when a group of sailors claimed they were attacked by a group of Mexican-American men wearing said zoot suits. Now, in response to this, white U.S. servicemen as well as civilians roamed Mexican-American neighborhoods and parts of the city where they found these pods of Mexican-Americans wearing the zoot suits and just beat them, stripped them down, robbed them, and essentially made their life a living hell. Now, the unfortunate part was that policemen did often little to nothing to stop these riots and the beatings of these zoot suit wearers. They actually added to the problem and often arrested the victims, the zoot suit wearers who were already being beaten and mugged. Eventually, the military got involved after the spread all the way down to San Diego, and they declared Los Angeles off limits to servicemen. Now, eventually, this got to a point where zoot suits were banned in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, no servicemen were ever charged on any counts of any criminal activity that they engaged in, while many Mexican Americans were unfortunately arrested. Now, as you can imagine, this was a huge turning point in our society, our nation, and for that matter, our neighbors right down the street here in Los Angeles. This ended up leading to the growing Chicano civil rights movement. Now, I hope you have all learned something new here. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope that you can take away something new and look at Chicano civil rights movements through a new set of eyes. Thank you.